American defenders stand firm in the face of overwhelming British might. Coming from down the hill lies redcoats on redcoats, line infantry on line infantry. As you can see here, we are looking at grenadiers, line infantry, light infantry, all pushing up to face a meager, a worse, but with a ton of resolve American force. We have long riflemen, rangers, militia infantry set up as the colonists prepare to defend their fortress from the overwhelming British attack. What's going on, guys? Rapid plays here. And as we begin to look at this fight, oh my goodness, does this look beautiful. British forces charging uphill into the American lines. And you're starting to see the first shots open up here from the enemies. Or from the Americans. I'm not going to technically say the Americans are enemies here. But the Americans start to open fire on the British forces down below. And they're starting to take a few casualties. These guys are now under heavy artillery fire. You're starting to see mortar shells come flying in. Concussive mortar shells. And these grenadiers are pushing up hard along with this light and line infantry. Charging full ahead. They're not even going to stop to shoot and fire back. They're just going to charge straight into melee. Bayonets fixed. These British soldiers are charging straight into these long riflemen. And these long riflemen will be not good enough to win this fight. And here we go. Light infantry now engaging in front line combat. But as you can see here across the line, light infantry is starting to shatter from the overwhelming amount of fire coming down from not only the walls, but this forward position here from the Americans sallying out some of their rangers. And over here you're starting to see some American cavalry run free. We have Regiment of the Horse, 2 units of that, along with some light dragoons laying down suppressive fire onto this light and line infantry over here. And now we're starting to see the British attack waver, ladies and gentlemen. Grenadiers pushing up the hill to try to reinforce, but as you can see here, they're concerned that their friends are routing. Now we're seeing more cannonballs start to explode as the British attack is starting to waver, ladies and gentlemen. Artillery fire now coming down into the American lines, cutting down some more Americans. But just as that starts to happen, line infantry starts to rout. Line infantry starts to shatter. Line infantry starts to waver. The British attack starts to waver. Men are starting to fall back in droves, but will they be able to regather and get back into this fight? Who knows? Who knows? The American long rifles stand here holding firm. The Rangers holding firm, doing everything they can to put down an immense amount of fire down onto this line infantry here as they're trying to escape. Now the cavalry cutting off their escape, cutting down the first wave of this British attack. Now I'm doing 2 waves of this assault here. So guys, in the first little bit here, we are seeing an absolute rout of British forces. An absolute stomping of British forces. Their men rout in droves here, trying to get away from these Americans that sit up top like nothing ever happened to them. They did take some casualties though, and as you will see as this battle goes on, they will take increasing amounts of casualties as these British soldiers pull back. And now we're starting to see American cav getting shot down from a mix of friendly fire and British fire as they charge into these retreating British soldiers to try to cut down as many of them as they can to cut off their escape. The Americans charge in, cutting down just swaths of enemies here. It's just swaths of British soldiers cut down. Redcoats running for their lives, running for the hills. They're trying to regroup, get together, and get ready for the second assault, guys. And as you can see, the Americans ride into them. They ride into them. Oh, and it is just devastating. The Americans riding into the retreating British forces, and you're seeing the casualties being taken. But as these Americans sit up here and wait, they're currently getting shelled by the British artillery. Now these men did hold firm, and the rest of the cav is now pushing down the hill. These light dragoons are pushing downhill as fast as they can to try to intercept this artillery. They're doing everything they can right here, sprinting across the open field to stop and fire into what looks to be probably this line infantry unit. Yep, cutting down a number of poor British redcoats as they're trying to get away, cutting down as many of them as possible. And as the Americans start to take a few more casualties here, we're going to see that in the next wave, they're going to be a little bit depleted. They're not going to have as many units here on the defense. The British, although not inflicting too many casualties among the Americans, they are still conscripts. So a couple of the Americans choose to rout in face of the enemy, and we are going to see that take effect in this next battle. And guys, now we are starting to see the cavalry get charged by lifeguards. These cav are going to have a easy pickings when it comes to taking down these light dragoons. Lifeguard being known as one of the best British cavalry that they can get here, cutting down the Americans like it is nothing. And over here, the British have officially lost their artillery emplacements. And with that being said, guys, we are going to go and hop into the second wave here. So what the British have lost in this battle is their artillery capabilities. They are going to lose this 6-pound horse and 24-pound horse artillery. But the second wave will have their own artillery. They will just not have this stuff back here. The Americans charging downhill are going to lose some men here. Some of these outside units will make it back, but other ones will not. So I will see you guys in the second wave of this video. Alrighty guys, the second wave of redcoats approach. Now the Americans took very light casualties in the first fight. So as you can see, they have full, healthy outer defenses. There we go. 4 units of rangers set up here, along with 4 units of long riflemen ready to start to open fire downhill at this light infantry, or line infantry, as they charge up. But the biggest casualties did come to the American cav. Only 2 units of cav left, 1 regiment of horse, 1 light dragoon, and that is left for the American cav. But the biggest thing that the Americans are sitting behind is this 4-inch mortar battery, sorry, that is sitting back here, lobbing rounds up and over the walls, and concussive rounds going off in British lines here. As you can see, dropping droves of men. Over 40 men, or actually over 30 men killed from just those couple of hits. And these units are making it up here now. It was a lot easier for the British to make it up to the American lines this time, with the Americans being slightly depleted. So they make it up and they make it into this melee fight. The British doing everything they can to do lots of damage, so that way the third wave can do their best to break through these American lines, because the second wave knows that there is very little chance that they're going to break in. But it looks like they're putting all of their eggs in this right flank over here. And the Americans, they have a unit of long rifles that are set up here. Looks like they have one-handed swords that they are fighting the British with. The British are going at it with their bayonets, but the Americans are doing their best to keep their distance and keep this fight going. Oh man, absolutely beautiful fights here. And as you can see, explosions going off in the distance as the British do their best to shatter the Americans. They in turn are being shattered. Now you're seeing grenadiers charge in. The most the most depleted of the British units, I was going to say before I got distracted by the grenadiers, have already broken off from this fight and are running away. They have broken. A lot of them are just routed though, not shattered completely yet. So some of those units will be back. But over here on the left, things are completely fine. The redcoats getting absolutely obliterated before they could even really get close. This unit of light infantry down to 17 men, down to 27, down to 106. And while that's being said, this American regiment of horse running free, cutting down the British artillery over here on the flank, silencing them, as you can see by the amount of dead British men back here. The cannons have been silenced. They did not leave anyone to protect their cannons, and now more mortar shots are ringing off, looking like they're ending up a little bit short of their target here. But the British now really starting to rout now. More line and light infantry. Grenadiers also breaking off of this fight for the hill. Americans starting to take heavy casualties now in this melee fight, though, that the British have made it up. The British have men to lose, but the Americans do not in this battle. So the Americans need to do everything they can to win this fight from range. And now we're starting to see more long riflemen open fire downhill at these British line infantry as they start to try to push up. More line infantry that have returned are also pushing up, but these long rifles and rangers are doing everything in their power to reload and get more shots down range, because this melee fight, if it is too prolonged, is not going to go well for the Americans, as we are already starting to see the Americans taking heavy casualties, but the British are as well due to the support that was up here. But now we are starting to see that these cannons are all broken. This corner is now at 50% damage, but the American cavalry coming in clutch, silencing this British artillery before they could take down a portion of the wall. Oh yes, and it is beautiful. It is an absolutely beautiful display out of this regiment of the horse here, running down this British artillery and taking it out before anything gets too crazy. And now over here we are seeing it still. More American long rifles are charging in to try to help in this melee fight, try to break this British attack before too many American lives are lost. They need as many men as they can for this third wave, because they know that they are going to be depleted. They are going to be tired, and they are going to be very desperate to win this third wave. And more Rangers are starting to charge in over here now. And now with the overwhelming force, the British troops start to realize they're not very optimal situation here, as they start to break through the left flank. An open left flank has been exposed from the Americans here, as more Americans start to fall to British soldiers. But more Americans are starting to pour in from that left flank that was victorious into this right flank. And now we're starting to see the British line infantry waver and break off the battlefield, as we are seeing light infantry get routed and shattered. More line infantry just stuck in here trying to win this fight. But ladies and gentlemen, it appears like it is going to be futile. This line infantry is going to end up breaking any second here, as they are now surrounded. Their way of getting out of here is being cut off as we speak. Rangers getting around behind them, making sure that none of these guys can regroup with the third wave to give the third wave a little bit of an extra boost. And as they run away, guys, the third wave prepares their attack. And with that being said, I will see you guys all for the third and final wave. The Americans took some heavy casualties in this battle, but they are most certainly not out of it yet. The British, battered, will be back yet again. Now with the outer defenses taking a few casualties in that last fight, we see only 3 units of long rifles and 3 units of rangers out here to defend the outer walls, compared to the last time there being 8 units. But the ones above here, this militia infantry stays untouched, as the British have not breached the walls yet, which also means that this 4-inch mortar battery is still good to continue its firing. But guys, the Americans are down to just 1 unit of cav. Light dragoons is all that is left. These guys have remained unscathed for the whole battle, and now we are starting to see it. Mortar shots open up, and as you can see, the first couple of shots have already landed. But this line infantry is determined. This is the third and final attack that the British can give out. This is it. They've thrown 8,000 men at these walls. Or 6,000 men at these walls. Can they breach it? I guess we will find out. But all that stands in their path is 1,000 Americans. Can they breach these walls? And here it goes. More mortar fire coming out. Landing true. Oh, British casualties being taken there out of this line infantry unit. Very unfortunate for the British. But as that is being said, the British are now making it up the hill to hit these long rifles. Beautiful. The scarlet red of the great British army charging up, and now you're seeing it. The British artillery, what could it possibly be? ladies and gentlemen, I have a treat back here. Rockets. Now, it appears as if they left their rockets. I think the AI did not put it in a very good spot, which is why that happened. But yeah, anyways, the British have made it up here, are now engaging heavily with the Americans. Very, very heavily. This line infantry is now engaging with these Rangers, and they should be able to dice up these Rangers. I don't want to say with relative ease because it's not going to be easy, but this line infantry with bayonets fixed is now going against a Ranger unit that is a skirmisher unit. But as that is being said, they are taking heavy, heavy fire on the way up. As you can see here, men getting cut down before they even get close. And now from the flank here, light dragoons pouring it into this King's Royal Regiment of New York. A very, very elite unit here. And these Rangers are the only thing holding this far left flank here. They have some wall support, but that's really it. They have light dragoons and wall support, and these Rangers are going to do their best to hold in melee combat against two units. Now the center has broken. The center is victorious for the Americans. Most of these units will be coming back though, as they are just routing. But getting shot in the back is not helping their cause at all, as we are now seeing men start to levitate. As we are starting to see men just drop in droves. It is an absolute rout for the British center as they are taking off. Their left flank lays out cries for help as they are starting to break through yet again this American right flank. These long rifles are doing everything in their power to keep up the fight, but the overwhelming amount of British might be enough to finally break through these American lines. As we were starting to see one or two men trickle through here to the other side. Bro just got absolutely diced. But as we were starting to see this ocean of scarlet against this tiny wall of blue, the redcoats push harder. They try to push with everything they can. And this dude keeps jamming his gun. You gonna pop a shot there? Yeah, that's the third time bro jammed his gun. Okay, he's just going for the sword. Alright. Alright. But yeah, as I was saying before, guys, the British are again putting all their dice in this left flank with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 units piling onto this left flank. This American long rifle unit is extremely outmatched, and yet they hold. They hold for America. They hold for freedom. And they continue to hold as the Dragoons now start to clean up what's left of the British left and center. And mainly the only problem now is the British left, which is now starting to make this long rifleman unit a little bit worried if they can break through. Doing everything they can to sit here and hold, but they cannot hold for much longer as we start to see them start to waver. But will the American reinforcements from the American left flank get here in time? They are pushing over as fast as they can. They know that they need to hold the walls if they have any chance of winning this, because the second that the British get over the walls, they will be extremely outmatched. So now the left flank charging over with everything that they can to help support the now shattered unit of long rifles. And they plug the hole. This unit of Rangers comes in just in time to plug the gap as British soldiers start to pour in over here. Beautiful timing out of those Rangers. It could not have gone any better for those Rangers. And now the British are locked in prolonged melee, something that they did not want to do, because now the walls are just going to have even more time to sit up here and just pour rounds down on them. As you can see here, just sitting here shooting rounds down at the British men. These Americans continue to pour fire. And what is that? The enemy general has been killed. Trying to order his men into the fight, these light dragoons ran down the general and cut him down in cold blood, losing almost half the unit in the process. The Americans stand firm, and with over 7,000 British enemies dead, 2,000 Americans are able to pull off a victory. I'd like to thank you guys all for watching this scenario. If you guys did enjoy, make sure to go down below, hit that like and subscribe button, and of course, I will see you all next time. Peace!